Here's a question that'll keep you up tonight. How many connections have you missed because you couldn't read the signs? How many women were practically screaming, "I'm interested," in their own quiet way, while you stood there completely oblivious? I'm not judging, I've been that clueless guy more times than I care to admit. The woman at the coffee shop, who coincidentally showed up at the same time 3 days in a row, the friend, who kept finding reasons to text me at midnight, the coworker, who laughed way too hard at my terrible jokes, all sending signals I completely missed today. I'm giving you the translation guide I wish someone had given me, the 10 unmistakable things women do when they're into you, not the obvious stuff you already know, but the subtle behaviors that actually matter. Let's decode this language together. 1. The time investment. Time is the one thing nobody can fake think about it. We're all overbooked, overwhelmed, and constantly pulled in different directions. Our calendars look like abstract art, so when a woman consistently makes time for you, that's not just politeness, that's intentional. I remember this woman I was friends with for months. We'd grab coffee occasionally, nothing special, but then suddenly, she started suggesting we hang out twice a week instead of once a month. She'd text back immediately instead of ghosting for days. She'd stretch our coffee meetings from 30 minutes to 3 hours. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe she just had more free time. Right, wrong, she was deliberately carving out space in her life for me, and that's the key distinction. It wasn't just about showing up. It was about showing up enthusiastically. Women who are into you don't just fit you in, they prioritize you. They'll rearrange schedules, stay up later than they should, wake up earlier than they want to. They'll respond to your messages, even when they're swamped. They'll remember the details of your conversations and follow up on them to the physical tells. Let's talk about something primal, something that bypasses all our sophisticated social programming: physical proximity. Our bodies often betray what our words won't admit. When a woman is attracted to you, her body gravitates toward yours like there's some invisible magnetic pull. It's physics, but it's also chemistry. I was at this dinner party once with this woman I'd been friends with for years. We'd always had great conversation, but something felt different that night. Throughout the evening, I noticed she kept finding reasons to touch my arm. When she laughed, she'd lean in unnecessarily close. When I was speaking, our knees kept accidentally touching under the table. These weren't grand gestures. They were micro moments of connection, but they spoke volumes. Here's what to watch for. Does she find excuses to touch you? A hand on your shoulder, fixing your collar, brushing something off your jacket. Does she sit closer to you than necessary? Does she angle her body toward you in group settings as if your conversation exists in its own private universe? 3. The questions that never end. Ever notice how when you're genuinely interested in someone, you become an amateur detective? You want to know everything: their childhood memories, their greatest fears, their weird food combinations, their dreams for the future. When a woman is into you, she becomes intensely curious about your life. Not just the highlights, but the footnotes too. I once dated this woman who knew more about my family dynamics than my therapist. She'd remember casual comments I'd made weeks earlier and follow up on them. Hey, how did your sister's job interview go? Or wasn't your fantasy football draft today? At first, I thought she was just being polite. But then I realized she was cataloging my life, creating a mental map of who I was. Women, are interested. Don't just ask surface-level questions. They probe deeper. They don't just ask what you do for work. They ask why you chose that career. They don't just ask about your weekend plans. They ask about the friends you're seeing and how you met them. They're building context, creating connections for the vulnerability exchange. Here's something I've noticed over the years: when we're interested In someone, we start taking emotional risks. We show parts of ourselves we usually keep hidden. When a woman is into you, she begins to let down her guard. She shares things she doesn't tell everyone, and it's not always the big dramatic confessions. Sometimes it's the small, seemingly insignificant details that actually mean the most. I remember this woman I was seeing who always projected this image of having everything together: perfect job, perfect apartment, perfect life. But one night over cheap takeout, she told me about how she still sleeps with the stuffed animal her dad gave her before he died. How sometimes she calls her mum just to hear her voice. When she's feeling lost, how she's terrified she might never find her purpose in. That moment, something shifted between us. She wasn't just sharing information. She was offering trust. Women who are interested in you will start revealing their authentic selves, their doubts, their dreams, their contradictions. They'll tell you about the time they embarrassed themselves at a work presentation. They'll share their childhood insecurities. They'll admit to the guilty pleasures they don't broadcast to the world. Fifth, the consistent contact. In your hyperconnected world, we're constantly bombarded with notifications, messages, and demands for our attention. Our digital lives are noisy, cluttered spaces where meaningful connection often gets lost in the static. So when a woman consistently reaches out to you in this chaos, when she cuts through the noise to make contact, that's significant. I had this friend who would send me random texts throughout the day, not the usual "How's it going?" small talk, but specific things. A song that reminded her of a conversation we'd had, a photo of a dog that looked like mine, an article related to something I'd mentioned being interested in. At first, I didn't think much of it, just friendly communication, right? But then I realized something important. She was constantly looking for reasons to connect. She was building bridges between her day and mine. She was saying without actually saying it, "You're on my mind." Women who are interested create consistent communication rhythms. They don't just respond to your messages, they initiate conversations. They don't wait for you to make every move. They reach out first. They send good morning texts. They check in after your important meeting. They share random thoughts that made them think of you. 6. The friends and family integration. When someone starts introducing you to their inner circle, they're not just being friendly, they're integrating you into their life. They're saying, "You're not temporary, you're Simeon. I want to connect to my world." I remember this woman I dated who after just a few weeks invited me to her friend's birthday dinner. I didn't think much of it at the time. Just thought she needed a +1, but then I noticed how she introduced me to everyone, not just David, the guy I told you about who does that thing we were talking about. She had been talking about me to her friends. She had been creating space for me in conversations. I wasn't even present for women who are interested, want to see how you fit into their broader life. They want their friends' opinions. They want to observe you in different social contexts. They want to see if there's alignment between the person they're falling for and the people they already love. Because when a woman is genuinely into you, she doesn't just want you in her life. She wants you woven into the fabric of her world. She wants the people she loves to love you. To that kind of integration isn't casual, it's intentional, it's significant. 7. The future reference. There's something profoundly revealing about how people talk about future, the language we use, the assumptions we make, the plans we suggest. They all betray our deeper intentions. When a woman is interested in you, she starts planting seeds for future connections. She weaves you into her tomorrow. I was once seeing this woman who kept using the phrase "next time" in our conversations. Next time we should try that new restaurant. Next time we should watch that movie. Next time I'll show you the photos from my trip. It was subtle but unmistakable. She was creating continuity, assuming there would be more moments together. Women who are interested don't just live in the present with you, they project forward. They mention concerts months away and casually suggest you both attend. They talk about places they want to show you someday. They use we language when discussing future events. 8. The jealousy signals. Let's talk about something primal, something we often try to rationalize. Away or hide jealousy, that instinctive, visceral reaction when someone else enters the orbit of someone we care about, when a woman is interested in you. She noticing other women are too, and sometimes despite her best efforts, that awareness shows. I remember being at a bar with this woman I'd been seeing casually. We hadn't defined anything, hadn't had the talk, but when the bartender started flirting with me, I noticed something shift in her demeanor. Her laugh became slightly forced. She positioned herself closer to me. She found reasons to touch my arm, to remind the bartender of her presence. She never said a word about it, but her body language spoke volumes. Women who are interested become attenetto. Potential competition. They might ask casual questions about your female friends. They might get quieter when you mention an ex. They might scroll a bit too long on that photo of you with another woman. 9. The effort elevation. In a world of convenience and shortcuts, genuine effort stands out. It's easy to double tap a like button, to send a quick text, to show up for the good times, but putting in consistent, thoughtful effort, that's increasingly rare. When a woman is truly interested in you, she elevates her effort. She